Good morning, America. How are ya? It is January 1st, 2024, and as promised, today is Monday, and we begin the series of less than well-known places in the United States of America. I've been living in Lima, Peru for the past 11 years, and I have to say I miss the United States. Not so much that I want to move back, but I do feel somewhat detached from it. So this year, I'm going to get to know the United States very intimately once again, and that's by way of a 30-day rail pass on Amtrak, stopping off in places to see the real America. No shopping malls, no theme parks, no hiding out in suburbia. So every Monday, we're going to spotlight a different place in the United States. And today we're going to talk about a place that you will not find on the Amtrak line. In fact, they don't even have any roads leading there. And that place is Bethel, Alaska. If you've ever thought about going to Alaska to visit, whether it's a cruise or taking a trip on dry land, I have one recommendation for you. Don't go to Bethel. I lived in Anchorage for 3 years, and I got to know some people in Bethel, so I made a few trips out there. The first time I ever heard of Bethel was from Chef Sal. Now, when you think of Chef Sal, you're probably not thinking of anybody in Alaska. Fact is, he's from Ozone Park, Queens, but then he ended up moving out to Alaska. His wife had a job in Bethel. He called it Bethel. If you know anything about New Yorkers, especially Italians, the way they greet people, it's, hey, how you doing? Now, how you doing is usually a question like, how are you? But in New York, how you doing means hello. So he would go around in Bethel asking the people, and most of the people are indigenous, the native Alaskans, hey, how you doing? You know what they would do? They would tell you, well, not so good, actually. I've had some problems at home. And that's how life was in Bethel. And I went out there for New Year's Eve one year, 21 years ago. And that's why I'm starting this series off with Bethel, because in 20 below freezing weather, we were out there at exactly the stroke of midnight lighting off fireworks. But my trip to Bethel, my second trip to Bethel, is the reason why I got into the business of speech coaching. The spring semester at UAA, University of Alaska Anchorage, just ended, and I'd kind of depleted my funds. I went out to Bethel to get some day labor. And while I was out there, a friend of mine suggested, well, Mike, why don't we rent out the local lodge here and you can give a workshop, a seminar on fitness. The diabetes prevention was a big deal at the time. And I said, people won't pay just to hear me talk about fitness. And she said, oh, yes, they will. Bethel's a pretty remote town. It's in the southwest corner of Alaska before you get to the Aleutian chain. But it's a hub for about 60 native villages in the area. You'll have estate workers who have good jobs, have good salaries, but they don't have a full service health club, not a whole lot of personal trainers. This is my great opportunity to put those two together and not only give a presentation that people will never forget, but also make enough scratch that I could stick around in Alaska a little bit longer because it had been my dream to live there. You want to hear about the workshop we did? There was no workshop. I chickened out. I went back to Anchorage pretty much empty-handed. That was the end of my time in Alaska. I had to pack up my car and drive back to New York and start my life over again. And I was happy to be back in New York, but even to this day, it hurts every time I see something about Alaska, maybe on the Discovery Channel, on the Learning Channel. It just sticks in my craw. But that's how I went out. I said, I'm never going to be caught like that again. Given the opportunity to give a presentation, I'll be ready. And that's why today I'm in the business of speech coaching so that you'll never have that problem. When people seek out your expertise, they will get it with the help of world-class speech coaching. So Bethel, Alaska, I want you to know about it so you don't have to visit. Next week, you'll see another place is a lot more appealing, someplace you'd much rather visit. Until then, Happy New Year. I'll see you tomorrow with a speaking tip.